Stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
By nightfall, the hospitality of this sleepy hamlet, combined with their superstitious tales, has both overstuffed your stomach and filled you with a hollow dread. Folks say these woods are full of apparitions, witches, and worse. You curse yourself for getting on the road so late. In the moonlight, every valley and hollow at the feet of the Tappan Zee seems like a stolen shred of the abyss itself. Fireside tales seem less fanciful, and every cackling crow and moaning whippoorwill seems like a demon perched on the shivering, spindly trees. But something cuts through the noise. The muffled sound of hooves galloping on the cold, muddy road. When he finally slows his horse alongside you, it's as though he had just appeared out of the mist. He's astride a gigantic black courser, and though his boots are muddy and ragged, he wears an immaculate coat with great, shining buttons. From his saddle hangs an antiquated flintlock and a cavalry saber. In the darkness, you can hardly see above his towering shoulders. His voice is a rumbling croak, deep, but as though his throat is filled with thorns. Have you happened upon a cannonball around here? You can tell English isn't his first language. German is. His hand, so pale it's almost blue in the moonlight, grips the reins in a fist. You mumble an apology and watch as he silently rides away, back into the mist. He's cloaked in black, you notice from behind, but the blood running down over his shoulders glints crimson in the moonlight. The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow. They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks. They conduct their games in eerie silence. The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor. In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?" Too tired to lie, you tell him about the noise outside your door, the trampling of small feet on the corridor outside, the dreams disturbed with violent and hideous images. "That's odd," he says, weak-eyed. "There are no children staying with us."
C.P. Pennebaker.
The dandy approaches seconds after you enter the saloon and extends his hand.
Syndicated in 16 papers. Trying to find out what life is honestly like for folks like you out here. Trade you a drink for your story?
C.P. Pennebaker takes down your tail in a frenzy.
This is precisely what folks want to hear,
he cries. He pumps your hand vigorously on his way out the door, leaving you with the bill. The lawmen stream past, fired up and in pursuit. It's a miracle they don't run down the man in the red coat. Amid the chaos of horses' legs and swirling dust, he turns to you and grins. But when the last rider passes, the crouching man is gone. You turn to leave, but a voice interrupts you.
Aren't you the least bit curious what I was up to?
He sits atop a fence post behind you, tapping his heels against it. His crimson coat is untouched by the dust.
Their quarry earned a favor from me.
He empties a handful of bullets onto the ground.
They'll find her a little harder to hit without these.
He flashes rot-worn teeth.
You could earn a favor too.
He grabs some bullets.
Shell game? See if you can best me.
He slides from the post and sets up the game. 3 cups, 2 bullets. His movements are exaggerated, taking care to demonstrate that he's making no sleight of hand.
Ready?
The cups move like lightning. The man is more readable. You manage 3 correct guesses. On the 4th, you catch him palming the bullets. He grins.
Sometimes you have to make your own luck.
He presses a bullet into your palm.
Maybe this will make some for you.
As you approach the farmhouse, a flock of crows lands in the field ahead. A wave of anguish washes over you, and when the world snaps back into focus, a man stands amongst the crows.
"Death has come to this place,"
he says.
"I am here for the deceased."
As he speaks, 2 crows fly out from the farmhouse towards him, each carrying a large rectangle of colorful cloth.
4 boys came out here to have some last peace. The 2 boys who lived there, lovers who lived as they died. Too young, with the world turned away from them. Finally taken by the illnesses they could not fight.
He takes a cloth from the birds, panels like tapestries, names stitched into them. He holds them up.
Their names, the stories of their lives told by those who loved them, to be added to the quilt of all the others. Thousands, to remember the tragedy, the terror, the grief. The entire generation we lost.
The man nods.
Only by knowing our history, our stories, and why they were allowed to happen, can we strive forward to a better tomorrow.
Then he bursts into 100 crows and flies away into the dusk.
Stranger, it's good to see you again. You know, I'm gonna see this whole world one day, but for now, I just got my sights set on seeing all 48 of the great U.S. I already seen 10 whole states. That's better than my folks ever done, that's for sure. Plenty of townies and even some tramps treat me like I'm kid simple, but I ain't helpless, and I only act it when I ain't got no better choice, like if I get pinched. I do right fine on my own, don't need nobody but Cass and Flip. I want a story that scares me. Now I'm older, almost nobody can do it. Give me your best shot. Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. Sadness. Ain't seen no sight sadder than in the city. In the city, they want you to feel like a giant among giants, like you can do anything. But I seen them shanty camps full up with folks who got nothing to eat or do. Cities serve to make the small feel smaller. I'm in the mood for something real funny like. I'll remember that one. A couple good jokes can get you out of a fix sometimes. The past is just that, past. The whole world is at my feet, so why bother talking about the one place I can't go to no more? Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those. Well, that was a lively tale. Choices. Well, we all got choices to make. Whole country's got choices to make. Seems to me, though, that the choices what hurt the most are the ones we don't rightly get to make. The ones that done get made for us. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories. Well, that was something. You spin a good yarn. Huh, authority. The coppers and rail yard dicks don't ruffle me none. I just tell them my poor ma and my poor pa died of the pneumonia. I give them crocodile tears about trying to get over to my grand just down the way. All I got's left is my dogs, mister. Works damn near every time. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any? Whoa, quite a story, stranger. This country. I don't rightly know what this thing called America is. I know what I done been told in school, but the words don't fit the picture. What with tramping across the whole thing, figure I'll find out for myself soon enough. Aw, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road. Sometimes I surely do wonder what'll become of this land. Folks have been chasing the dream of tying it up for so long. Now they got their wish. Things are worse than ever. Maybe America was never meant to be held in your hand like this.
Here you are again. How's the journey treating you? I'm still heading back to Oregon. My sister Jessie won't take me back, wish she would. Wish it was her I was going back to. She doesn't understand. Almost nobody does. If they did, they would have given us something real for what we suffered. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. Yeah, Paul would have liked that one. When the memories swirl, I find joy again. Between the trenches, I catch a glimpse of Paul before he was gone. And the time before then, well, that was joy to me. So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. I don't really scare at that stuff anymore. Sorry. Freedom. Not many of us are free from suffering. Well, war's doing the opposite of stopping that. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. I liked that one. There's some hope left for you too, you know. Don't give it away too quickly. Love? All the connections. Which is what love is, isn't it? Drowned in the mud in no man's land with Paul. But love comes in so many forms. I love now the ability to walk more dearly than ever. I love more deeply the sun and the earth. So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. That can't be true. That sounds like a Navy tale. But faith. The time for faith is long past, my friend. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. The future? When I was young, I worried about the future. But now, running all on autopilot and fumes, I've got no control over it. So worry has become me. Well, morning's come. The road takes me this way next. Wish it were taking me home. The family always did like Paul more anyhow. Loyalty to him is the only loyalty I don't regret. Even the other soldiers of the bonus army, they had families to go back to. I got my sister Jessie, and she's not letting her gimp brother home anytime soon. When everything has left you, all that remains is a peculiar peace. It's hard to keep it, especially considering the panic that comes on sometimes. Sometimes when it's hard to breathe. Truthfully, the leg being gone is bad enough, but the way people look at you, that's when I miss being whole the most. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? Sorry, I don't get it. Joy is a clean garden, a clean life, with my favorite plants all growing together proudly. I'm not sure that I'm capable of enjoying people anymore, but the plants are good company. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. Wish I could tell that one to my sister. Choice. Well, I was well suited to killing, but I didn't want to. I don't know how many children will grow up without fathers because of me. Who really wanted the war to happen? Were they really that cruel? Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. Home, well, what heartless greedmonger decided what plants get to be beautiful and what plants are weeds anyway? Who said that peony has cash value, but a dandelion is worthy of being torn from its home? So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. You know, the government told us to keep our chins up too, but I didn't believe them either. Family? It all comes back to Paul. If I wouldn't have lost him, I wouldn't have lost my home, my job, my life. My family thinks I could have saved him, but they weren't there. But if they were right, do you know any happy stories, hopeful ones? I liked that one. There's some hope left for you too, you know. Don't give it away too quickly. Luck? I don't know how to think about that anymore. When did my luck run out? How many other men got scratches from that rusty barbed wire? How many yards of wire on how many deadly fields led to the scratch on my leg, the one that took my own body from me, that made me a burden? The night's over. I should be getting ready to go. I'm headed up this way next. The journey's long, but it's not cruel. There's cruel people in the world, but the road and the mud don't mean anyone any harm. The little flowers in the ditches don't. Look for me, maybe. Perhaps we'll see each other again.
Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to
The huge farm dogs bark hysterically. A scent pervades the air, rich and salty, with a tang that fills your mouth with saliva. No wonder the dogs are wild. The burlap sacks hanging from this tree are stained carmine. They drip. Man near the tree shouts. He bellows, "Mind where you step! Don't want that in your shoes!" Puddles of blood congeal below the tree. The man points proudly at the bags. "Curing 'em, but could just bite into one right now." The dogs throw themselves against the gate. It shudders. "Nah, they're just big pups. They won't do themselves any harm." The gate groans. "Think you'll come back this way? You want to try the meat when it's ready?" The gate rattles off its hinges. It crashes to the ground. 3 slavering dogs rush towards you. You're up the tree in seconds. The man follows as swiftly, swinging himself up onto a high branch. Fuck! The pair of you sit there, with nothing to do but watch the dogs lap up the muddy blood puddles. The dogs have ignored the man's shouts for what feels like hours. "They have to tire out soon. They'll listen to me then." Man sounds unconvinced. The beasts circle the tree, whining hungrily. Their eyes are staring. Their bared teeth are covered in white foam. The dogs have more patience than the man. He's moved to jump down several times already. Each attempt has only driven the dogs into a greater frenzy. Unless you do something, you'll be here for hours more. You ignore the man's shouts of outrage. You both need this distraction. The meat bag thumps to the ground. The hounds are savaging it in seconds. You slip down from the other side of the tree and run, putting as much distance as you can between you and the dogs.
I won't leave much behind to drag you down. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my goals burn low and my trains run out of track, there'll be no one else to dig my Well, I got no companion except for
Looks like the cat staked its claim. "Share a meal with me?" it asks, swinging tail brushing the corpse. He's still partly fresh. It has been a while since you last ate. Can't be choosy in hard times. You sit with the cat and roast the horse flesh over a fire. It's tender meat. It was a beautiful horse, not much older than a colt. Ever been in love? The cat, making small talk. Have you ever loved someone so much that you could not bear to think of life without them? If you did truly love someone like that, and they didn't know it, and you were brave enough to tell them, and they rejected you, do you think you would be able to just move on? I can't imagine having the capacity to let go of something like that. The cat shakes its head. I wasn't able to, but he's inside me now. And you too. A woman in a feather boa leads you through a series of exhibits. Monkey heads sewn onto a fish, rubber fetuses jarred in formaldehyde, a headless chicken corpse.
Lived without her head for months, but she never heard the car,
she says in a sad tone.
You have fine taste, I can tell. No, not offended. Follow me.
She takes you past curtains into a small tent with no signs or ticket podium. Centered in the room, a veiled bird cage, domed and made of brass. Your host invites you forward. Inside the cage, a vampire bat hangs from a wooden perch. It squeaks at you. Then its other head, a little slower, also squeaks.
Meet my beautiful baby boys, Laurel and Hardy.
With introductions over, Laurel goes back to sleep. Or maybe that was Hardy. Whichever one is still awake watches you with beady eyes. The curator curls her knuckles in anticipation.
Go on then. Don't be shy. Give him a little scratch through the bars.
Laurel and Hardy certainly share a fuzzy belly. They both squeak in appreciation of your affection. The curator beams.
I'm so proud. My big boys can drain a whole herd of cattle twice as quick.
It's a funny thing, someone looking right through you. But don't lie to me, friend. I know you want to know the truth, what it really means to be a porter. Well, I can tell you it's more than making white folks happy. That's just how it's supposed to look. But you go on so long being how you're supposed to, you're not quite sure how to go back to what you are. Though I suppose I can give it a try. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me? Who finds that one funny? When they want to liven spirits up, to bring each other joy, all railroad folk tell the story of the steel-driving man John Henry. But only us porters talk about Big Old Daddy Joe, the best porter who ever lived. I've always been more partial to that tale. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. A positive attitude. That's what I like to hear. I've heard some porters say that even up in heaven, we gonna be the ones making the beds, shining the shoes, and cleaning the coins. I believe it. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any? Just like I told you, friend, miles of smiles. Oh, love. Yeah, porters like to spread news amongst ourselves. And nothing is more newsworthy than a phone number a pretty little Piola just happened to leave behind. Don't tell anybody, but that's how I met my last girl in Harlem. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. A positive attitude. That's what I like to hear. Home for a porter is the next train station. It's a warm Baker heater stove in the middle of cramped living quarters. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them? Whew, that's a wild one, all right. I made my choice. But not every porter I knew wanted to join Mr. Randolph in the Brotherhood. See, they had seen friends fired for much smaller offenses and didn't want to ruin the good thing they had. But it was the only choice for me. Don't want to hold you here if you need to be going. I've got to be going in the morning too. The next leg of my trip takes me along the rails this way. Where are you headed? If we cross paths again, I'd like to tell you more of the truth about what it's like to be a porter and what it's like to be in the Brotherhood. Keep an eye out for me, all right?
car is a lifeline, your one hope to escape the encroaching storm. It rattles along a few yards ahead of the storm front, jouncing and juddering, one pothole away from being swallowed by the choking dust. A figure clings to support straps mounted on the back. You grab the straps and haul yourself up.
Oh,
Shouts the woman on the back.
a fellow observer.
She's wrapped in a scarf and aviation goggles, juggling a pen and a notebook while hanging onto the unsteady car. The dust scours your face and rips at your clothes.
We're not done with our observations.
She threads one arm through the straps and makes another attempt to write, but it comes out illegible.
Blast it. Get inside and take dictation, will you?
You clamber through the open back window, and she hands you pen and notebook. You scribble furiously while she dictates the finer qualities of the dust and wind assaulting the car until her voice is hoarse.
That'll do.
She bangs on the roof.
Judith, let's go.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the water, and
A hurried little girl collides into you with a wheelbarrow full of hay, nearly knocking you out of your shoes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You nod, but the way the girl fusses over the wheelbarrow, was that apology meant for you?
Lost? Me? No, not at all.
She stands up taller and squares her shoulders, projecting an image of adulthood so stiff she looks about to tip over.
But I guess I could use a little help. Can I ask you something pretty, please? Well, I found this critter, but my daddy won't let me keep it unless I take real good care of it.
Relating this dilemma has put her on the verge of tears.
Do you know how I can be the very best pet owner in the world?
The girl bursts into hysterical laughter, like she just heard the funniest joke.
Well, I don't know how to feed it when it don't have a mouth.
The laughter fades, and her look of worry returns.
Any other ideas?
She smiles so bright.
That's all it takes? Gosh, I already love it so much.
Bleh. Oh, God, not another. He meets your eye and shrugs.
They're not mine. I'm not a shepherd, I'm a teacher, but they just keep coming.
A flash of panic crosses his face.
What if they never stop appearing? I'll drown in sheep. It started a day ago. I was sitting on a tree stump, musing about my job. I'm stuck where I am, can't get a promotion. Wished I'd chosen a different path. And then, bah! A sheep is munching away next to me.
He shrugs.
Yes, like that. I looked for a gap in the fence, figured they're from a farm. Nothing. And 3 more appeared while I searched.
He sounds desperate.
Started yesterday. Now I have 43 sheep. I can't escape. They chase me whenever I try. People will think I'm a thief. Wouldn't you ask the provenance of sheep? Wonder why a teacher had some?
He looks tired.
Perhaps I've lost my mind. Or this is a dream, and you're not here. I'd like to wake up. Thank God.
He sits.
Now please, go away. And make them go. I will lie down and wake up.
He shuts his eyes. The sheep switch their attention to you. As you walk, they follow, but slide out of existence one by one, with a sound like sighing. An older, portly man stands on the street corner, fixing a look of refined disdain on everyone who walks past. As he catches sight of you, he alights on you with a kind of thrill.
You!
He calls, pointing. He sidles closer to you.
You aren't from around here, huh? You, want to make some cash? Holes need to get dug. Fence posts, you know, on my estate. My maintenance man is sick. It's just a quick drive. Great. Good. This way.
He takes you down an alley where a car is parked. A little shabbier than you expected. Up close, he's a lot shabbier too. He draws a pistol from inside his jacket.
Give me everything you got.
He snaps.
You think this is a fucking joke?
He hisses, smacking you with the butt of his gun. As you fall, you hear the car's engine start. It peels off as you get back to your feet. You watch him just barely avoid clipping a dumpster as he speeds out of view. The rain is coming down so hard, it's a wonder the sidewalk hasn't started to crack. You manage to find a narrow patch under a ledge where you can stay dry. A squat man, bundled up in a black fur coat and matching hat, approaches. The thick rain flattens and mats his fur. He squints up at you.
You're in my spot.
He thanks you as you step aside, back into the rain. You keep walking, hoping to find more shelter. Now that you see the man from a distance, you're not sure the fur is a coat. A pair of red eyes shine back at you. The rain stops a minute later. You look back up the road, but the squat man is gone.
Welcome back. It's been a while. I miss talking with you, friend. Do you want to hear more about what the porter's life is really like? The truth, not the happy mask? I can tell you about what it's like and about Mr. Randolph and the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. It'll ruin the illusion, but I think that's for the best. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. Just like I told you, friend, miles of smiles. Fortune. A porter lives or dies on the good fortune of passengers. One day a nice man could give you a generous tip. The next day he could steal a towel. And guess who's paying for the replacement? Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me? A positive attitude. That's what I like to hear. When they want to liven spirits up, to bring each other joy, all railroad folk tell the story of the still-driving man, John Henry. But only us porters talk about Big Old Daddy Joe, the best porter who ever lived. I've always been more partial to that tale. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any? That's a tall one. Don't pull my leg, okay? Freedom. That's what the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters is about. Getting our freedom. Some folks in this country ain't too fond of unions, socialism, or anything that's got them scared somebody's gonna grab what's theirs. And they're especially ornery when it's black folks organizing their labor. They think there's not enough freedom to go around. I guess we'll find out. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. I'm not sure I get it, friend. Oh, love. Yeah, porters like to spread news amongst ourselves. And nothing is more newsworthy than a phone number a pretty little Piola just happened to leave behind. Don't tell anybody, but that's how I met my last girl in Harlem. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any? Might not be telling that one to the boys, actually. Change? I've changed with the job, for sure. You spend so much time on a train, you start to take after it a little bit. Nobody can maneuver, get over, and move forward like a porter. Another night over. I've got to get going. My journey takes me down the rails this way, but it was good talking to you. And how'd you like that, Sharon? Our dark silhouette's a little easier to make out. Sooner or later, the whole world's got to know what we really are. And what's it really like? That's the only way we're really gonna matter to anyone besides ourselves. And now that you know the bad, doesn't the good sound that much better? Sharing goes both ways, though. Is your truth a little more complicated, too?
The candles flicker as she waves one hand over the ball. Silver mist swirls up inside it. The tent feels closer around you. Her eyes study you intently as she sets the orb on the table.
Tell me what you see, and I will guide you.
She leans forward.
Yes?
Her eyes widen.
Someone long lost. Do they have black hair down to here?
She gestures.
And skin like mine?
She leans forward, knuckles whitening over the edges of the table.
What more do you see?
Her face creases into a smile.
That means I'll see them again soon. That they've forgiven me.
She laughs, long and joyful, leaning back in her chair.
Take this.
She passes you a coin.
It's only proper. Thank you.
You find her at a crossroads in the dark, lit by a tiny brazier turning something fragrant and smoky. All around are the dried stems and petals of a dozen strange plants.
You.
Her voice is powerful, belying her size.
You seem like you could do with powerful magic. For you, no charge. We have a friend in common.
She taps her nose knowingly.
You've the look about you of someone who desperately wants something. Just tell me. Endless wealth? Undying love? How practical. How clever.
She sprinkles powder and grains onto the burning coals, filling the smoke with strange and acrid smells. Soon you're coughing forcefully, feeling something coming up from deep in your throat. Her eyes, red like coals, stare right into yours as you spit it out. At first you think it's blood, but no. The copper you taste is a single, lonely penny.
How curious. The magic won't cling to you. It slides off your shade like water off a duck.
Did she always know this would happen?
Off with you. Your only wealth is in tales. Your only riches are verses.
Her laugh is too sharp, bird-like, and with a flick of the wrist, she snuffs out her brazier. The corridors of Cincinnati's music hall reverberate with the sounds of an orchestra warming up for rehearsal.
If we unbolt the light rig, we can crush them,
says a voice up ahead. No, another answers. Hiding Baldy's baton will be sufficient to stop the din. The tuxedoed men are slightly transparent. Mustachio on the right has his arms folded. The weaselly one on the left scowls. They start at your arrival. I'm gonna undo those bolts. Weasel feature vanishes into thin air. Damn it all, says the other man. We used to be members of the orchestra until, well, you know. Patrick doesn't care for the new blood. It seems like talent died with us, so he does his damnedest to stop them playing. But I can't allow violence against fellow artists. Help me stop him. With the right tool, you can banish them from the hall. You see, no spirit can stand the sound of the purest of all instruments. No. 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 He shakes his head, exasperated. No! The triangle! The orchestra has one, but their percussionist's a sop. He never hits it right. If you can get there, you can ensure the only thing brutalized here today is Chopin. The orchestra is midway through practice. They're in dire need of it. The percussionist dozes on his stool. Everyone's oblivious to the muttering from the lighting rig. You sprint down the aisle and elbow through the incensed musicians. The percussionist falls off his stool as you clamber over his xylophone. You grab the beater and bring it down onto the triangle, eliciting a pure, resounding note. And the rafters ring with laughter. The mustachioed ghost appears next to you, doubled over, invisible to the furious orchestra. I never thought you'd fall for that. The triangle, for God's sake. Thanks for shutting them up, though. Wading through an overgrown field, you nearly step on someone lying in the tall grass. Despite your boot above their face, the reclining individual doesn't flinch. Instead, as you stumble backwards, they coolly call out, "Hey there! Have a seat. Take a load off." You drop your pack and stretch out beside them, soaking up the late afternoon sun. The long stalks of the weeds rise above your eyes like great trees. "Always happy to share my spot with another outsider," they declare in a distinctive voice. Baritone, but cute, soft, and light. "Sure, honey. I know an outsider when I see one. You were set on this path not entirely by choice, weren't you? Same with me. I come out here to be myself, my true self, and to dream of a better time and place for folk like me. Take clothes, for example. Why does a suit make a man? If a lady's in slacks, is she a scissor sister? Can't she just like breeches? Why is it so damned important to find out?" Your androgynous companion muses aloud. "Why is a fella in a dress only ever a joke or a show? Female impersonators," they say, pain lurking behind the words. "I can only speak for myself, but the only impression I do is of the person society demands me to be." They nod. Everything is man or woman, hard or soft. Think about flowers. Plants change to become something beautiful so quickly. The field's scraggly weeds suddenly begin to bloom before your eyes. And then they go back to being grasses, bushes. I like that. Pink, white, magenta, and blue flowers dot the field. Are they flowers or weeds? Both? Neither? You have to choose. Or maybe the question is what's flawed, huh? They smirk.
Folk like me are gender outlaws, rebels by nature of our existence.
The androgyne concludes.
Ha! That's a good question.
They guffaw.
I suppose that I am, insofar as I run straight here every chance I get. Maybe one day I can just be a person, as surely on a busy street as I am in this field. Now that's the future I dream about. You think it could happen, stranger?
You reassure them that one day it will happen, even though it may take time. As you get up and gather your things to leave, you survey the entire field, now full of wildflowers and buzzing with pearlescent dragonflies. They stand to see you off, and you can see clearly now the beautiful cream-colored dress they're wearing. They give a twirl to show it off, blushing a little bit. And then you part ways, both feeling invigorated. The bull lounges by this construction site, basking in the bitter sun. Upon his head is a silver crown shrouded in tongues of pale fire. Laborers periodically wander past, seemingly unconcerned. The bull catches your eye. You realize you've been staring. The bull arches his head languidly away from you. "I'm waiting for my friend," he informs you airily. Now all the laborers are stopping and staring. Feeling reproved, you mosey along.
Some people like to think of porters as some special kind of black folks. I suppose that's true. I know I don't always correct them. But we ain't special. Not really. No matter where I go in this country, I'm a black man before anything else. That was true before I put on this uniform, then it's gonna be true long after I'm buried. Anyway, you must have some funny stories to tell. Share one. I suppose that's someone's idea of hope. I had a moment of joy the other day when I met a porter by the name of Oscar Michelle. Brother showed me some of those moving pictures they got now. He's been working on some of his own too. Glad to know they ain't just for white folks. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them? hear that story on the radio? You told it better, though. When do I feel free? Well, it's always a party when the train rolls through Harlem. There's a real movement happening. So much art and thinking and expressing. Money and trains only gives a sort of body freedom. Mind freedom is something else. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. So, does that one scare you? Not sure about me. Faith? I've got faith. Folk tales, Negro spirituals, Bible stories. It's all coming from the same place. Folks in tough times need to believe something bigger than themselves can help them. Sometimes it's God. Other times it's Big Daddy Joe. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any? That's a tall one. Don't pull my leg, okay? Home is changing. Black folks used to be all down in the country, but that was no home. Now we're all moving around, mostly up north. Wonder if that's gonna be any better. Maybe moving is all that you can hope for when you don't have a place to go. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. Just like I told you, friend, miles of smiles. When I say the future's in the hands of porters like me, I mean it. Pullman porters help not quite rich and not quite poor white folks feel fancy for a change. But now, that's making us a bunch of not quite rich and not quite poor black folks. Curious to see what comes of that. Here's the sun. I've got to get going, friend. But this conversation has me so excited. I'd love to continue it. I'd love to tell you more about what I and men like me can be in this world. I'm headed this way next. Will you look for me if you find yourself there?
Motionless beside the half-finished railroad tracks. A sheet covers his body only from his neck to his knees, revealing muscled calves and calloused feet. A group of men in prison stripes stands beside him. The sound of weeping carries on the air. As you approach, a woman appears by your side. Her cheeks are wet, but her voice is steady.
Did you dream about my husband's death too? Or the machine they made him race? It's not right.
Mrs. Henry, begins one prisoner, but he falls silent when he sees you. She nods.
When I woke, I knew it was a true dream, and where to find his body to say goodbye.
Tears well in her eyes.
He was the best of men, and the only family I had left. But now...
The tears spill over. One of the men takes her elbow and leads her gently away. The woman finds you as you wander the streets.
Come with me, child,
she says, looking you up and down.
We're going to church.
You follow her to a simple clapboard building. There's no steeple, but a cross is painted on one side. Inside, after a rousing sermon, you're treated to a meal and given a worn but clean set of clothes. Works and not faith alone might be the motto of this place. You didn't think the musician would even notice you. He seemed off in his own little world, idly strumming and muttering along in tune. He stops and calls out to you from his perch on the sidewalk. "What's your name?" He winks. "Now watch this." He sings "Baby, Won't You Please Come Home," but with your name in the lyrics. "Now," he says, "if you found that meant something to you, and you want to show some of that appreciation, I sure would be obliged. I'm mighty obliged. I can see you got the flower prints in your heart." You're about to ask what he means, but his confidential nod suggests that's the end of the conversation. You leave, feeling a little poorer in a lot of ways. He spent a half hour filling you in on his plans to drive coast to coast. Enthusiasm radiates off him. When he talks, you hear the blare of the motor, feel the wind ruffle your hair, taste the tang of oil on the breeze. But why he dresses like a racer is beyond you. "Of course! Where's the joy in driving if you don't look the part?" He slips off a glove and has you feel how soft it is. "Driving really is the only way to travel." Yes. The people around here don't get it. If you're ever along the Mother Road, keep an eye out for me." He laughs. "Oh, friend, I would love to show you, but that's for another day." He strolls off, whistling. The woman seated on a nearby step croaks a laugh. She shakes her head. "Factory's never going to reopen. He'll never get the money. He'll never get his damn car." She chuckles. "Hadn't dampened his spirits none. Spent his last cent on those ridiculous clothes. That coast-to-coast trip is all he can talk about." Lost in your own head, you almost walk straight into this woman in your path. Her expression is imperious. She clasps a large toddler in her arms. He's the one who speaks first. "This is a toll road, stranger," he says, voice thuggish beyond his years. 30 cents. Look at me," the toddler orders. "Look at me. You're dealing with me." The woman, through her silence, suggests assent. "Do not walk away," the child shouts right in your ear as you force your way past. You turn to give the pair a withering look over your shoulder. But just as you turn back, the mother throws her son at you. He looks real mad. The child tackles you by the neck and takes you down. He pummels you right in the face for a good long while before you wriggle away. It hurts more than you'd be comfortable to admit. Come to a car parked at the side of the road. Across the road, some children loiter. As you approach the car, their gazes make their way to you.
Hey!
One girl shouts. She waves at you, then points at the car.
Don't open the door!
As you approach, you see a shape stirring inside. A huge black dog panting on the hot seat, lips pulled back on rows of sharky teeth.
Hey!
He says, nose pressed against the glass.
Hey! You! Let me out of here! No!
The kids scream. The dog vaults across the road. As the kids scatter into the woods, it catches one boy by the back of his overalls and gives a mighty shake. But the boy squirts out of his clothes like a ferret and slithers into the grass.
Fucking pricks!
The dog yells.
Assholes! Here's a tip.
The dog says.
Don't sleep in these woods, okay?
He jumps back into the car and goes nosing through the glove box.
Oh, they took my money!
He shouts.
Oh, they took $100! Oh, damn!